Next speaker, I take immense pride to talk about him because from a very young age he started rescue of animals, birds, and everything. And today specifically he'll be talking about again one very interesting species. Two species. One probably to give an introduction. One is an epitome of patience when it comes to the old folk tales of India, where we talk about tortoise, which it stays as a balance between the good and bad when we actually start reading about mythology. And the second species, which is very interesting because when I started reading about turtles, I realized that the temperature of the nest determines the sex of the gender of the turtle that is born. The warmer ones are females, and the colder ones turn into males. So I leave the stage to a good friend, a brother, Sujeeth, so that he give us very interesting facts about turtles and tortoises.
Good afternoon. Way too much knowledge in just 1 hour. I forgot what I came here for. and there's so many elders and so much learning for me here as well. So, and thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, let's dig in. So, this is Sujeeth, a naturalist and conservationist, and two titles that I was entitled with. And I always feel guilt whether I'm doing justification for these two words, conservation and naturalist. They are, no matter how much you do, no matter how much work you do, there's always tons of work which is left undone. So yeah, there's so many good people like us trying to do our best. So this is Sujeeth proudly holding two turtles here. Both are turtles. So this is Nilsonia ganjatica and this is Batagur kachuga. And people often ask me, why Sujeeth, why in the hell turtles? And they are not things that we casually get associated with. We don't get to see them more often. Even if you walk or swim after thousands of miles, you don't get to see a turtle, right? Even after going for zoos, you don't usually see a turtle or tortoises. And they are not, for many of the people, they think like turtles and tortoises, they are not colorful, they are not beautiful, they are something else. I mean, people are not usually connected with turtles and tortoises. So particularly, I always, whenever people come with those kind of conversations, I always show them Batagur kachuga. This guy is called Batagur kachuga, one of the most critically endangered species of India. So if you see in the months of October and November seasons, this guy gets these beautiful colors. I mean, like, show me one species, if it's not an insect or a bird, show me one animal that has so many colors, such a beautiful bright colors, like the yellows, the blues, the whites and reds on their neck. I mean, which animal has those colors and those things? I mean, turtles are beautiful. Can you please? Yeah. So the next slide. So turtles first came into existence. They are one of the longest living lineage in the world, along with crocodiles and damselflies and dragonflies. They are one of the most oldest living lineage. And how did turtles, all on other animals has either, exoskeletons and these things, but they do have a rib cage. I mean, their common ancestor has just like a lizard or something. And then they started fusing their this rib cage into a thing called, carapace. The top thing we call them carapace, and the bottom thing we called as plastron. So that's how the rib cage that got fused into their the shell, and it formed into a shell. The current turtles that we are associated usually looks more like this. So that is how the evolution happened. It happened for a long 100 million years after evolution. They finally came into the turtles that we get to see currently like this. And these turtles and tortoises have went through so much in the evolution. I mean, like, they have seen asteroids coming and hitting the planet. They have seen so many animals, other coexisting animals going to extinction. But still these guys survived all the mass extinctions, and currently we get to see them. One of the oldest living lineages in the world. Yeah, next slide. Sorry? 250 million years we first get to see is fossilized evidences of turtles, ma'am. We may not be accurate in that numbers, but
before the dinosaurs.
in the Cretaceous period we get to see the first that thing. So the lizard thing started evolving, and then it ventured into the waters. Yeah. So yeah. So turtles and tortoises are there are sub classifications we have in turtles and tortoises. Basic knowledge I'm just going into. So tortoises are land dwelling animals, and turtles are aquatic and semi aquatic. Even in turtles, so tortoises only have water just like we mammals do, just drink water, or they get water source, and they don't need much of the water presence. They can swim. Even if you leave the tortoise in the water, they drown to death. So please don't do. Whenever you get to see a turtle, please get an idea whether confirmation whether it's turtle or tortoise. Just make sure whether it's turtle or tortoise. Then act accordingly. Because I do get complaints, even some of the forest department people, when they confiscate the hundreds and hundreds of turtles, they take the tortoises and left in the rivers or lakes. It happened. It came to my notice, and then we tried to correct those things, and we did. So please don't do mistakes and know what you're handling exactly, turtle or tortoises. So even in turtles, we have three things like soft shell, hard shell, and marine species. Right? Mostly I was associated with land dwelling, freshwater turtles and tortoises. I did work, but my work with sea turtles is very less. I just volunteered for few of the organization. Most of my work is associated with freshwater turtles and tortoises. Even in freshwater turtles, we have two categories. One is hard shell turtles and the other is soft shell turtles. Right? So these, whether it's tortoise or hard shell tortoise, whenever you touch them, they feel like more like a coconut husk, right? It's very hard, and it's you can feel that it's very hard and very little moisture. But when you come to soft shell turtle, they have a very, very leathery texture. Can you please switch off this AC, please? Sorry. So yeah. So I come from very hot place, so I can't tolerate so much cold. So these soft shell turtles, they have a very leathery texture on their carapace, and next slide please. Yeah. So even in the hard shell turtles, we have a box turtles, right? Soft shell turtles and hard shell turtles are there, and these box turtles are some of the amazing creatures as well. We have some of them in Northeast India. Right? These are very much endemic to Northeast India. You don't find them anywhere else in the country. We only have two species. One is keel box turtle and the other is eastern box turtle. So these box turtles, how they are different from other species of turtles and tortoises, they can completely close their shell. Right? You can see, right? I supposed to have other picture, but sadly I couldn't have right now. But they can completely close, entire animal can go inside, and you cannot just see anything out of it. They're completely box turtles, we call them. Yeah, please, next. So we in India, we have 29 species of turtles and tortoises freshwater, right? Almost all species of turtles and tortoises are threatened to extinction or endangered somehow. And we have so many species of turtles and tortoises. They extend from anywhere from shrub jungles to hills forest and bamboo forest, and they have a very vital role. People always have this thing. We love tigers, we love leopards, and we love these things, all the fancy animals. But people should also understand that these turtles, these 29 species of turtles and tortoises they are the unsung heroes in my opinion, because they are doing so much things in our shadows, and they get little or no attention. There are so many people, one of the organization associated with TSA India, these people are doing so much work in the northern Gangetic Plains and Northeast India. So almost all turtle species are threatened to extinction, especially few of them. We can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, all these species are critically endangered. You see, at least, and when I mean critically endangered, at least few of them, at least these 6 species are there are no more than few hundred species, a few hundred breeding adults in the wild, and at least one species of them are now, it was once thought to be extinct in India, and now luckily back in 2012, 12 or 11 seasons, some researcher who was going through northeastern states, he get to see a turtle in a temple pond, right? In India, we have a culture to keep, the turtles and tortoises are associated with Kurma avatar, right? So we know that we pray that evolutionary, we have in Hinduism, there is a structure that evolved with Hinduism mythology. So one of the even in temples, whenever they see turtles, people used to go and deliver that to the temples, and they used to keep in temple ponds. So one of the researchers who was walking through the northeastern states, they get to see a turtle that once thought to be extinct. So he went and he quickly reached one of our scientists and all, and then he told like, no, this guy, it is formally extinct. In the wild it is extinct, but somehow luckily we found a specimen in the temple pond. And then my researching team, TSA India and other researchers, they quickly joined together and they talked to the temple ponds. What happens when we associated with temple ponds is, in India, especially in temples, we don't meat and temples are untouchable things, right? So what's happening here with these temples is, we have decent number of turtles. We found the extinct animal in this temple point. What's happening is, they've been constantly fed these carbohydrates. Like they've been feeding them rice pops. They've been feeding bananas to the turtles. Usually they won't eat these sugar-filled, starch-filled things to this turtle. So what's happening here is, these turtles eating all the food, whatever they could, because they are in a temple restricted boundaries, they couldn't go out and they couldn't come in. So they were, the water is already polluted. So they gain so much of weight. These both males are not producing quality sperm, and females are lost their ovary production, and they were literally they couldn't reproduce in a good way. All the eggs that we are getting are infertile. So somehow when my organization is associated with temple people, we convince them not to feed these things, and we ask them to feed dry whatever fishes, dry prawns. We ask them to allow them into the temple premises, and luckily they understood the conservation importance of these turtle ponds, and they started feeding them, and luckily we are collecting eggs, and now we are breeding them, and then we are releasing. This is one of the historic moment in the country. And there are very few people who are associated with these turtles and tortoises in means of conservation. There are especially, I know 10 people in this country who are, they gave their entire life. I know personally how they are dedicated and what they are doing. And in 2018, when I first quit my full-time job, I started traveling across the country to associated with various organizations who are associated with various species, not just with turtles and tortoises, various, birds and all. That's how I met Anjali ma'am in my first very bird walk. Glad I get to see you here, ma'am. Thank you so much. So much learning. And yeah, next slide, please. So what these usually turtles do have natural predators in the wild, right? Somehow, this tiger eating a turtle is a very rare scenario. And usually turtles do have threats from natural predators. When the hatchlings come out of their nest, crows and other eagles are some natural predators they do have. But the actual threat they get is the next slide, please. Is we humans, right? This is a sea turtle that got drowned in oil spill. Usually in oceans, when the containers carrying so much of oil, when the ships got wrecked, the oil spills and the turtles got sink. And people somehow, what happening in India especially is, whenever they get to see a turtle, they just want, not just turtles, whenever they get to see anything that they never seen before, they'll just grab it, bring them home. That's the mindset that I usually see in people. So that is a soft-shell turtle, Indian flap-shell turtle. So somehow, a fisherman who went for fishing and he see a turtle, he just quickly put it in his basket and brought his home. And the same thing you can see in an aquarium tank, and people are rearing them in their tanks. And you can see another star of the Indian tortoise. Many of you might seen this star tortoise. So this guy is Indian star tortoise. And mythically, what this thing happen is, whenever they see star tortoise, they think like it's gonna change their stars. And the Vastu Shastra is also somehow falsely promoting these kinds of mythical things. And they're saying that if you keep this turtle, it will bring so much wealth to you. And if you keep this thing, it will change the Vastu faults that you have in your home. And people started keeping these turtles and tortoises in their home. So that is also making them extremely stressful. Star tortoise, once back in 2010 or 7, when I was used to work in my hometown Eastern Ghats of forest that I was associated with, for every 2 or 3 kilometers I used to get to see 1 or 2 tortoises. But now sadly, even if I go for hundreds and hundreds of miles, I may or may not get to see 1 star tortoise. So they are literally endangered. Once we know that they are slow moving animals, and we know they also have some natural predators, but now they are literally forced from their natural habitat and they are forced to extinction. Next slide please. So when I mean images people usually don't see in that way, you can see the entire truck filled with at least 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000, who knows. And this was also in my very home district. I wanted to tell this story. In the 4 o'clock in the morning, I got a call some person called to someone and saying that these turtles and tortoise, someone carrying in a tractor or somewhere. So what this person did, I went there and I informed the forest department and they made a check post active. So this person who was carrying these turtles, the entire tractor truck who's carrying 2,000 plus turtles, he just, he know that there is a check post in front. He just dropped the entire turtles on the roadway and he escaped with the empty tractor. Imagine 2,000 plus turtles just were on the road, scattered everywhere. Almost 500, 800 turtles died, and we couldn't even fix. And it was almost 6 o'clock in the morning when I reached there. Whoever got whatever the turtle, they just grabbed and took home. And what these auto wala gonna do with all these turtles? What are they gonna do? So usually, turtles faces 2 kinds of threats. One is the people who take the turtles, either they pet they'll give to their people, their youngsters or sons to keep them as pets, or most of these kind of extortion that happens with the turtles, they will go for meat market. Yes, in India, people do eat turtles, especially in Bengal and other places, people do eat turtle meat. And so many of these turtles in every year in summer in Telugu states, even very last month in Bhadrachalam, we confiscated 250 plus turtles. Lucky enough, we get some tip from somewhere and we grab those opportunities and we seize these animals. But imagine how many hundreds and thousands and lakhs of turtles been exploited from this habitat and shipped to somewhere else for meat or for pet trade. And next slide please. So although these turtles and tortoises are going through extreme stress, there is a new threat that we humans personally brought from exotic pet trade, so-called red deer sliders. These red deer sliders are not native to India. They are bought from North America, which they are native to Florida region, a paradise for these turtles. So they can take extreme stresses from climatic. They can bear extreme. How many of you heard Ninja Turtles? Ninja Turtles, a movie that is associated with turtles. So the script director took the Ninja Turtles for this, inspired by these turtles, because they are a little intelligent species compared to other species. They can climb a 6-foot wall and they can survive the worst scenarios. So these turtles, when people start to see these movies, and everybody wants to keep this turtle as their pet in their home. So they started keeping them, they're rearing them. And when you buy a turtle, even now you can go to any pet store and you can ask for turtle, and this pet store people mostly they'll sell these red deer sliders you. When you buy them, they are just a 5 rupees coin size turtle. But when you bring home, after just within a 6 to 7 months, it will turn into this size, 1 foot tall, big size, and you cannot keep them at your place. So what you do, people are have with a very kind soul. People try to leave them in a natural habitats where they don't belong in our natural ponds. So usually turtles, in their turtle behaviors, there are certain behaviors this turtle do. With their eating and drinking habits, they do need a significant amount of basking area. Because these turtles are cold-blooded animals, they need huge amount of sunlight to bask, to charge themselves. By basking, they can increase their metabolism and they can increase their body function well. But when these turtles come into existence, these guys vigorously fight with these native animals and they eat their food, and they are also competing with this whatever the habitat we have, and slowly and steadily our native animals are losing their stature wherever they have a chance to grow. Yeah, please next slide please. So these are the basking habitats that I was trying to tell. Wherever there is a log or shorelines, they just go and climb there and just bask and recharge themselves. Yeah, next slide please. So as I told you, the Batagur Kachuga is one of the beautiful red crown river turtle, we call them. You can go to Chambal, you can see them basking here and there, but they don't have these colors throughout the year, only in the breeding season. Only males have these colors during the breeding season. Yeah. So some of the most beautiful Indian pond turtle again. Indian, next slide please. Go further. I mean, can you just collage? I mean, yeah, as I told you, one slide back please. So as I told you, in the temple ponds, they started feeding bananas, and they're throwing all these carbohydrates and sugars, and you see, usually they grow that big, but not that fat. It's literally destroying their internal things. Yeah, next slide please. So how cute these animals. This is Indian flapshell, and this is Ninsonia ganjatica, the huge turtle I was catching. So this guy, I mean, a size of a coin, a little less than a coin size, that will grow to that size. This is also endangered species. Can you just, yeah. So how do I help when I associated with any organizations? So I'll go and I usually ask any NGO, whoever running an NGO, I'll voluntarily ask them how better I can help them. So in one of the confiscations, in turtles confiscation in UP, star tortoise was not found in UP. They are restricted to southern peninsula and northwestern Gujarat region. So when I went to UP, they are already losing so many star tortoises that they have, because they kept in an enclosure, outside enclosure. So I quickly went and grabbed a bathroom tub, and I grabbed some soil and this thing, and I arranged them, and I neatly made an enclosure for them, just to accommodate for 2 or 3 star tortoises for that wintering season. Yeah, please. So, and how do we prevent all these things? I always strongly believe that educating the next generation. I personally feel like my generation is one of the most spoiled generation in means of education and everything, because they always try to tell us, educate, go to school, get good grades, get a job, that's how you will fix the entire world. But sadly that didn't happen. We made a good career, some of us making millions and millions, but the world never changed. It literally degraded itself. So we are one of the most spoiled generation in our ways. But sadly, lucky enough, people like most of us, we are trying to reach as many places as possible. We are trying to go to government schools and private schools. We are trying to educate them as much as we could in means of snakes, reptiles, and every other animals in wildlife and conservation perspective. Yeah. So this is another interesting animal, tortoise. That it is a giant Asian tortoise. It is Asia's biggest tortoise, land-dwelling animal, only found in Northeast India. So this is a baby, 1 year old, and this is a giant Asian tortoise which can grow up to 35-40 kgs. This size big and 1 foot tall, long. And this is my team, Shailendra Singh and Sriparna Datta and Shushmita Singh. And this is also a very critically endangered animal. There are no more than 300 wild specimens, breeding specimens in the wild. So with the collaboration of zoos in the northeastern state, in Nagaland, we are trying to breed them. Not just breed them, breeding programs can happen, but we are also trying to protect the habitat in the northeastern Intanki National Park and other. In Nagaland, we only have 1 national park. The entire state, 90% of the state is covered with forest, but we only have 1 national park in Nagaland. So we are trying to associate it with those zoos. We are breeding them, and not just breeding them, we are trying to know more about these animals. Turtles and tortoises, we know 29 species, but we know very little about their behaviors, their eating behaviors, and their breeding behaviors. So what we are trying to do is we are geotagging them, and we are releasing them back in the wild, radio collaring them and releasing them back to the wild, so that we can track them. I mean, can you go to the next slide? Or yeah. So yeah, that side, the other side. So I'm trying to the other side, please. Yeah, so we radio collar them and we release them in the wild, and we try to track them, and we track whichever the traces we are going, and what are their preferred diet, and how do they survive in the wild, what are the natural threats they have in the wild. The other side, please, which you have previously. No, the previous one. So this is also an interesting story that I want to discuss. Here, me and Imran Bhai and others. So what happened in the some of the breeding seasons, hatchlings from northern part of the UP Gangetic Plains, they'll get all these tiny little Panchura tecta, Panchura tentoria and all these turtles. They'll bring them because in UP and Ganjati plains we have so many turtles hatchling at one time. So you can just go and grab any turtle, you can contact to any fisherman, they'll bring you hundreds of turtles, baby turtles. So what they're doing is they're catching there and they're bringing to South India, especially Hyderabad and other states. They are so much sophisticated, they are taking apartments, private apartments for lease, and they are selling it as for pet stores and all, for few hundred rupees each turtle. So somehow forest department got tip, and before last year we missed, and that year we got, and forest department seized all the animals and we kept them in the zoo. And lucky enough, it's Imran Bhai, and we took the TSA team from UP, took the enough responsibility, and for the first time, although these turtles are native to India, but they couldn't survive in southern peninsula. They are not native to southern India. They don't survive in Gangetic plains, Godavari valleys or Krishna. They belongs to Gangetic plains and the northern plains. So this is the first time or second time, I guess, we made 450 plus turtles, fly them. We took a flight and we made them fly back to their very habitat, and this is in UP, Arnima and Pavan. We made them release in their own very habitat, not just anywhere else. We make sure they go back to their home and there we release. Although they belong to India, but they have their own natural borders. They don't belong to southern peninsula, they belong to Gangetic plains. We took them there and then we released. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yeah. So people who next slide, please. People who usually keep turtles, they think like it's very easy to keep turtles. So turtles and tortoises do have some diseases, and some are very contaminous to human beings as well, especially if you have kids or something else. It will affect you one way or the other. This is, especially star tortoise in the winter season, they have a running nose issue. They have a cold issues like it. They do catch diseases, and sometimes it is contagious to human beings as well. And people sometimes usually bring the star tortoise. One time I got a rescue call and I went there. A father who bought a star tortoise for 4,000 or 5,000 rupees and he left it with his child. And that child, who knows, 2 or 3 years old, he took a screwdriver or something. He started hitting the tortoise so hard and the shell cracked, and it was in a very worst case scenario, and I brought it sadly I couldn't save the tortoise. It was almost, he punctured so deep, it was almost dead. So things can happen. Although people think that, there are many myths people are associated with. You can hit a tortoise shell is so hard, you can hit with the iron rods, rusted rods, that it won't happen. No, the tortoise shell or entire body is made up of keratin, just like our hair and nail. They are sensitive. They can feel things like we do. So whenever you hit or touch, they feel it. So it's not like uncrackable or anything. And people are also think like, every tortoise and turtle live for 400 years. No, it's a myth. Just like we humans and monkeys, according to the species, according to the genus, their lifespan depends on that, and that's how the animal lives and that's how the animal survives. So it's not like every tortoise or turtle lives for 400 or 500 years. Next slide, please. So this is also Nilsonia, I was speaking, right? The extinct, formerly thought extinct species. These hatchlings that we have brought back, and now we are releasing back to their own home, rivers and lakes, where they usually found. Yeah. I think, yeah, I'm done. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.